L'chaim.
L'chaim.
So we're going to start this off with me having a shot of vodka. You're drinking some red wine. It's because I need to really loosen up a little bit. So hopefully there's going to be a little bit of liquid courage and a little bit of liquid loose. Okay. I don't know if you need the same thing.
I'm feeling pretty good, but I have it here just in case.
But I think you're feeling my energy, right?
Yeah. It's Wind Down Wednesday.
Oh, is that right?
Look at that.
All right, so let's see.
So you're winding down on Wednesday.
What's this called? True vodka? I've never had it before, so I'm plugging someone's vodka, so let it rip.
I hope it's good, because that's going to be really awkward if you're like, ooh, this is not as smooth. Ooh.
It's not the worst vodka I've ever had, but it's not because the vodka's poor. It's just warm.
Oh, okay. Okay. So there you go. So if it was chilled over ice, which is probably how you should be drinking it right now.
Arielle Leavitt.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I've listened to your podcast. Ooh. I listened to a bunch of episodes.
Thank you.
I listened specifically to the one with Julie.
Okay.
I listened to one with Mr. Nussbaum. I think he's the mediator.
He is.
And then I listened to a couple of other ones, but to be fully transparent, not completely in full, just because you have 40 episodes out there and you're absolutely killing it. But for everyone, Arielle is the connector amongst many other things that you do in your life.
Yes.
The Connector podcast, I know I want you to just speak to that a little bit and give us some more detail, but what is it that you do in real life when you're not behind the mic?
Yeah. So how did I because I didn't just become the connector, right? You don't just wake up and you're like, I'm the connector. That's my thing. So how this all started was, we're going to go back in time for a second we're going back to 2012. I was getting ready to graduate college, and I was working with my father alongside him. He's a chiropractor, and he had a physical therapy rehab center and everything. And he had an ex-business partner that they were going through a bad breakup. Well, I was helping out, trying to get everything going, and we found out more money stolen, the whole thing. He is very stressed out. So unfortunately he had a stroke, and I ended up just...
Your father or the business partner?
My father. They were separating. They're separated at this point, but when you find out more money is being stolen, things are getting out of this place, whatever, it's not so great. So it's very stressful. And especially when you have a business and you spend so many years of your life building up this business, to find out that it's now in the pits. Right. It's a hard thing. So he had a stroke. I was getting ready to graduate college, and I ended up just okay, we're going to just kind of go one day at a time, just figure this out until he gets better or something or whatever. And I'll just kind of keep running it. I was I know how to do the billing and the scheduling, but I don't really know how to manage. I don't know any of those things, but whatever, we'll figure it out.
And how old were you at that time?
I was 22.
Okay, really young.
So yeah, so I decided, I was okay, we're just going to do this. My mom was amazing. I have a very supportive family. And so we just kind of did one day at a time. And then I realized I was oh, this is a year later, and we're in business. We're kind of coming out of debt a little bit. We're not totally sinking. We're not, okay, things are kind of moving a little bit. And unfortunately, a year later, my dad had 2 more strokes, but he's great now. I mean, everything's stable. He's good. He's retired now, and he does more of the behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, so then I realized, every year I was okay, so a year later I thought okay, maybe I'll start passing it back to him or working more with him. But anyways, he had the strokes, so that I continued on. And I was just something inside of me just was continue on, keep moving. And so I did. I kept working on the business, figuring it out. I'm I don't know anything of what I'm doing, but I'll just try to figure this out. I learned from other people. I listened to what they had to tell me. I took their advice. That's one of the biggest things I could tell any entrepreneur, is listen to other people that have been more successful or are more successful than you, and really listen to what they have to say and implement it.
I find that women do that way better than men.
There's less ego.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's all about their ego. And no, I can do this. I'm great. I'm the best at this. Well, somebody else apparently did figure it out before you.
Sure.
And they have a lot of wisdom to share with you. And so I would go out and market and talk to doctors and attorneys and figure out how to bring in patients and talk to them. But nobody wanted to take me seriously at 22,
okay.
22, 23, right? Who's going to be oh, this girl has nothing. She doesn't know what she's doing, right? Whatever. So I had to really step my game up and work and figure out how to get them to trust me and give me a shot, because I knew I could deliver on what I needed to do. And so once I gained the trust of the attorneys, the doctors, and they sort of oh, okay, my patient was happy at your office. That is, I've over time built that. But I had to do a lot of relationships and figure out on my own, and also okay, wait, what can I offer them back? Because I'm not going to offer them money. I'm not going to offer them like anything inappropriate. I'm going to keep it kosher.
Right.
So,
it's very tempting to do that sometimes.
I mean, how easy is it, right?
Right.
Especially as a girl, like young, right? Whatever.
Right.
It's very easy to do that, right? But that's not how I wanted to do things. Because
there's an entire industry in the medical space, dedicated to that, and that's pharmaceutical sales.
Oh yeah.
Right. So yeah, I get it. It's very tempting. I'm surprised that you weren't tempted, and maybe you were, but that's not the path that you decided to take.
No, I wasn't. I was never tempted or anything. It just never appealed to me because I was like driven to like your reputation's the only thing you have in life, and for me, like, I want to make sure that stays clean and good because. It's respect, right? People respect people that have clean reputations, and it's very important to me. So anyway, so I figured out how to like talk to the attorneys and listen to what they needed, delivered, connect them with other people. Oh, you're looking for a doctor that does this and da. Oh, well, actually, I just had lunch with somebody else, whatever it may be. Let me put you guys into connections, into contact. And I started continuing to do this, and not because I wanted to like get anything out of it, but I was like, but maybe they'll just think of me, and that's all I need them to do. Like, oh, we met because of Arielle. You know what? Arielle is really cool. Like, let's see if we can help her or something, right? And so I just continued doing that. And before I know it, people are like, wait, you know this person. You made this connection. I just got so many referrals out of this person. Can you connect me to more people? And I was just like, yeah, like, I love it. Like, it's my thing. And as we talk, I get to be like, ooh, you know who you should meet? Because it's so fun seeing them then go on to do amazing things together, whatever it may be. Like I've hooked hooked real estate agents together. I've hooked people in the same industry even, like, and then they start doing work together or figuring out deals or whatever it may be. Attorneys who have become good friends, doctors, whatever it is. And then they go off and do like really cool things. And it's fun to see what comes out of that creativity of them becoming friends.
So is this translated into a business for you in addition to your full-time business?
So finally, I have embraced it. It's taken some time because I was like, why am I not getting paid for this? Like, after I'm like, okay, I'm good. Like, the beta test is there.
Right.
We're good. So now I have started women communities, women business owner communities that help them get together, collaborate together, form connections, and really hold each other to this amazing standard that they are. And for me, I mean, I love all businesses. Just women are just a little bit easier to, which is so funny because most people are like, women are probably harder like to deal with. No, I think women are very easy. They're fun. They want to support. They're not catty, at least the ones that I have met. They're amazing women business owners that just need help or connection and throwing ideas against other women business owners to elevate their business.
Do you find that women enjoy empowering and supporting one another a whole lot more than maybe men would?
I think it's a bro, girl thing. Like bros, it took me a long time to break in, and I still haven't even fully broken into the bro community, like in my industry. Like the guys are like, no, this is my buddy. We go to the strip clubs. We do this, like this is how we party and everything. And I'm like, yeah, I can't really relate to you on that sense, right? Like it's just relatability. Like women relate to other women. Are we talking about...
You won't go to a strip club to do deals?
No. What I'm saying is like, it's guys, have their things, right? Like
golf
is a huge thing.
Right.
Wow, there's this thing called legs, which is women golfers, but it comes to the point where like women are going to talk more about like the dating lives of like how, oh my gosh, what happened with that relationship? How are you doing this with your husband? What is happening over here? Or whatever it is. We're going to talk about more girly things, and then guys talk. It's just the way of nature of business. Everybody can do obviously cross. I was like cross-pollinate, but like
no pun.
But it is sometimes you feel that more support from that.
The premise of the podcast originally was a resource for people that are moving down here, and it's really grown into so much more than just people that are immigrating, that are on visas and stuff like that. But specifically, the Canadians that are coming down here are all going to have to acquire businesses in one way, shape, or form in order to get status that will allow them to work as they cross the border. Having someone like you, and eventually they'll have via this podcast access to your information, and you can connect them. And I've heard a really interesting saying that your network is your net worth, and it's so important to to network right off the hop. And it's way more important than probably any one single decision that you will make in your business, because those referrals are critical. Like word of mouth, business to business are just about everything.
Totally.
I know that you talk about women, and I really want to emphasize that, because my wife is, in business on her own, and she's primary to our, visa. I'm actually her dependent, and I see the challenges that she's going through. I'm finding and thinking like women that do work with other women understand their positions. Do you find that they're much more supportive on the personal level, not just the business end when they're together?
There's more empathy. Right. Women have more empathy in a way, not all the time, but it is something that we're nurturing. That's it, just more in our nature than men, right? Men are the hunters. They're the gatherers. They're going to go like out into the, they're not really the guys, they're not really the stay at home or like the, like, let me take care of you. Let me nurture you. That's just in our DNA, right? That's just who we are as people.
Right.
So women have, I think, more each other's back than, like a man would or whatever it is, because we're like, okay, how can we work on this together? Like in a community, you think like back when we were like cavemen, right? And like
cavemen and women.
Yeah.
We're in a time zone where I don't even know if that's an appropriate thing to say anymore.
I know. I'm probably going to be canceled, but
we've had the cancel talk on this podcast several times, and I'm not going to play the part. Mm-hmm. I don't care what people say. Like, if your intentions are pure and you don't have any like venom behind what you say, a man is a man, a woman's a woman to me. That's it. I don't have any issues with you, anything past that. You want to argue with me? Argue with me. That's fine. But canceling people because they don't say the right thing, I mean, come on. Taking responsibility for stupid things that people say, yeah, you got to take up to it. But I mean, I don't want to go on that tangent with you, but because you're fascinating and I want to know so much about what it is that you're doing. And I really am more curious at this point how you manage doing all those things and a personal life.
I think it's also in my DNA. Like, I love it. Like, I live for it. Like, even when I was 22 and all my friends are like starting jobs and they have a salary coming in and like they're financially okay, I was like, oh my gosh, like I have no money in my bank account because I put it all back in my business. Like
you invested your own money.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah. No, I never took any loans. I never did anything. It was like literally, it was my only, whatever I had to do, like I did it, whatever. So, so I built this whole business up. But it was hard at that time, to do that. And I totally got sidetracked. I had a glass of wine. I had like 3
You know what? I'm going to
wine.
finish this True vodka. Whoever's vodka this is, it's not bad.
Good. Okay. Good. We're endorsing it. But yeah, so I really learned wow, I really can't talk. It's like ridiculous.
I have this effect on women. I just listen. It's very normal. These two can barely speak back there.
I know. They're like,
I'm breathless. Like I take people's breath away. But look it.
So, anyways, yeah. But I have to go. Okay. Now
I really want to know how you manage setting up all these women that you have to connect with, and I want to know how you get access to your network of females. Like, how is there an interview process? Do they have to go through some sort of screening? And plus, you manage your business on a day-to-day basis. Are you?
Oh yeah. How do I manage everything?
Yeah, but are you married?
No.
Okay. Are you dating?
Yeah.
Do you have a full-time person?
No.
Okay. How do you do that then? Like between all of these things.
How do I do everything in life?
Yeah.
I used to be very, very crazy and busy and doing it all. And I have more recently this year have decided to create space in my life.
How'd you do that?
Not say yes to a lot of things, which is very difficult. But because as a extrovert and as a person who loves to connect with people and like, oh, you never know who you're going to meet here. I don't know, maybe this could be a good opportunity or this will be fun or this seems like a cool event. It's actually really allowed me to like focus in on deepening other connections and then
personally or business?
Business.
Okay.
And nurturing them to then because everybody knows everybody has a sphere and it's just getting to the next person and then the next person. It's like a little lily pad that you keep jumping and jumping. And, before you know it, you're at like the next person that like, it all goes back to who you know, not what you know in business.
Sure.
I did not learn a single like thing at school in college. I could have.
And I would make the same statement. I don't agree with that in total, just because you do make a network with some of the people you go to school with. I don't know if you still do. I have a very strong one, but I think school teaches you how to learn, not what it is that you're learning. I'm applying nothing that I learned. I have a BCom in finance. Yeah. And I have understanding of money, but am I using any of it? Zero.
Yeah, no, I think if you do that in college, then that's wonderful. If you connect with people in college, I just didn't, it wasn't my thing at all. I really flourished outside of college, and that's when I really got to like move mountains.
If you didn't help your dad out in his business, do you think you would have branched out on your own and started something on your own?
It's so funny. I don't even know. Like I told a story of like, I remember being in the car and I have an older brother, and my mom was like, oh, what do you guys want to be when you grow up? And my brother's like, an entrepreneur. I want to be an entrepreneurial person. And I'm like, I want to go to a 9 to 5. I want to go in, make my money, leave, and then just go out and party and do whatever I need to do, or, just have fun and leave everything at home. Well, now we've grown up and we're in life, and I can never imagine being anything other than an entrepreneur. I love it. It is like so in my blood that I'm like, this is addicting, and everybody should be an entrepreneur. Well, not everybody, but it's just so great. It's amazing.
How are you finding it doing business so you're in Delray, your particular location?
So my office is in Deerfield.
Sorry.
And yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, look, this speaks to 10 months here. Okay. Delray, Deerfield, Pompano, Broward, Miami, all of South Florida to me was actually Sunny Isles. That's the only place that I knew, because everyone I knew from Toronto was in Sunny Isles. Okay. But yeah, it's what people don't understand is the scale and the scope and how big this place really, really is. And it's growing like crazy. Yeah. How are you finding that business is here? Like, is it growing? Is it stale? How did you deal with COVID lockdowns?
I did great. It was like so wonderful, COVID, because then I really had to just like get connecting more with people. And I was like, this is so much fun, because it's my thing. I love listening to people. I love hearing people, like getting into conversations, joking around, whatever it is, forming a connection is my favorite thing. And so, I thought COVID was great. And I think the new connections that I get to meet, like all the new people, I just met a whole handful of new people this week. And I'm like, oh, they are so neat. I was like, how can I hang out with them? Because they're just so cool.
What would you say to women that are thinking of coming down here, whether they're married or they have a significant other, that are worried about starting businesses in South Florida?
Oh my gosh, do it. Start a business. Get involved in your community. Your community is everything.
Define community.
Local businesses. I do a lot with local businesses. Go knock on doors of local businesses. You will find the best people there. And or join like a podcasting studio, right? You're going to meet a resource of people. Join, if you're religious, join a synagogue, join your church, whatever it may be. But join something, because you will form community very quickly.
I think the podcasting angle of it is so understated. And I only know that by pure luck. Starting the podcast, I have access to and have met some of the coolest people ever. And I'm like screaming at the top of my lungs to anybody who's looking to network quickly and really show interest in other people, start a podcast. Not just because of the network of people, is if you want to learn something you've never learned before, then you get to speak to somebody who's authentic and willing to be on the other side of the mic, look you in the eyes and share with you. You can learn more in that hour than, in hours of books and other methods. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think listeners love podcasts so much, because they can retain that information so quickly and it just stays there, and they can do it in the convenience of other times what would have been a waste of time, walking the dog, driving the car, doing that sort of thing. I agree with the whole podcasting thing. It's really amazing. And I listen to your podcast and I see the different people that you have on. Like, you've got 40 episodes already. That's 40 different people that you've learned from and connected with. Mm-hmm. Is that why you started the podcast, to network originally?
So it was my COVID project.
It was your COVID
It was a COVID. You know, everybody got into like crazy things in COVID. So I got into podcasting. A friend of mine is a big podcaster, and she was like, "You should have your own podcast." And I was like, "What is that?" And I don't know. I listened to like Serial was the first podcast, the only podcast I knew, like the murder mystery podcast. Yeah, it was so good. And that one I listened to like 2015, 14. I don't even know when it came out. And that was it. That's all I knew about podcasting. So then she was like, have a podcast. I'm like, I can? Like, this is a free thing? Like, what is this? Oh, okay. Like, yeah. So I started creating my own podcast. It was called Elevate Love. I interviewed couples that had beautiful, loving relationships.
Did you run out of those quickly?
No, I had like 30-something couples on my podcast.
Were they all full of shit?
They were great. No, they were good.
I'm being a cynic. I told you I'm having a day.
You are. Wow. We'll have to bring a little bit more vodka into this. Really loosen you
Baby, I love you if you're listening.
So, yeah, so I ended up interviewing them and experts and everything. And I really, at the end of that year, I did it for a year from January to December, almost January, right? And I learned that if you just appreciate the other person for who they are, that's all it really is. And that's what it comes down to. That's like one of the basic things, like, of having a happy, loving relationship. Because a lot of people get into relationships and they love that person for who they are, and then they start wanting to change that person. They're like, oh, I want to change them. I would like them to do more of this. Why don't they do more of that? They need to be doing this. Da, 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 da. And then you get so focused on that, and then that's all what becomes your life. And then that's what becomes into the problems and then into the frustrations. So if you can just love that person for who they are, everything gets easier.
Do you find that you take that mantra into your dating life?
Yeah.
Are guys intimidated by the fact that you're an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur?
Some are. Some look at it as like a sugar daddy type of thing situation.
Really?
Sugar mama.
Sugar mom, the inverse, yeah.
Sugar mama.
Is there like a flag that you look for where, like, you know, oh, this dude's out for the wrong reasons?
Yeah, I actually used to get a lot of that more as I was younger, and I was like, literally had no money because I was like, I'm a beginning entrepreneur, but they're like, you're the boss. Like, because I'm in the early 20s or mid 20s, right? Everybody's like, oh, that's so cool. You must be loaded. You're an entrepreneur. I'm like, yeah, I'm loaded. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I work 22 hours a day. I'm constantly stressed. I haven't bathed this week, but yeah, I'm the boss.
Totally. Yeah. But as I've grown out of that 22, you know, like more into my 30s now. So I have, it's changed.
There has to be a lot of pressure on someone who's running multiple businesses, a networking segment, and still dating out there. And is dating all done online now? I mean, do people still approach people?
No, they need to. Like, I love getting approached at the supermarket or wherever. It's the most fun thing. And I think people get turned down too many times or read too much into it that they just don't do it anymore. And I think it's the most fun thing. Like this past weekend, I gave my guy.
Yeah.
He's not my guy.
Freudian?
No, I gave my number to a guy this weekend, and it was just fun. And he hasn't called. Nothing's ever happened coming from it. But I'm like, great. It was just fun.
What was the line?
And what did I say? I was like, hi, my name's Arielle, and I just need to give you this or something.
Oh,
like
you picked him up.
Oh, yeah.
Get out of here. Oh my God. That's incredible.
It was so fun. And it's like, there doesn't need to be anything more than just that, right? And if there is, great. If not, it was just a fun moment in time.
Maybe I'm really old, but you are an outlier. And if any woman did that to me when I was younger, I probably would have married her. Because it's like, it's so out of left field. It's so like special and says that this person's willing to step out and do something that is scary and that's being rejected, which is, you know, the life of a guy.
Everybody's fearful of rejection. Everybody doesn't want to be rejected, right? Like, it's not fun. But if you just look at it as like, this is just a moment of fun in this moment of time, that's it. Then don't think about the rest. Don't get, you know, it's okay if the other person doesn't call. It's okay if, you know, it's just not meant to be.
Do you take that psychology into business?
Mm-hmm. All the time.
Is it effective?
No is what are you going to get? A no? Okay, great. Let's move on. Or you can keep talking to that person until you do get a yes. And I love when I do get those yeses. Or like when patients would come into my office and they would be so grumpy and so terrible and nasty and like just the like absolute worst, right? They want to just make your life miserable. And then when you win over those patients and then at the end are like, oh my gosh, you're the best person. Thank you so much. I want to write a review. I want to do this. How can I help you? Let me send my sister, my brother, my cousin, my aunt, my uncle, whatever it is to your practice. And I'm like, yes, those are my favorite.
What are you going to do over the next 1 to 3 years? Like, what's your plan?
With like growing, so I don't have kids. So I say I have 2 business babies, business babies, right? Like as an entrepreneur.
They certainly are.
Yeah. So one is like 11 years old now. So it's like, you know, kind of self-sufficient, does its own thing a little bit. And still
Is it
needs
scalable?
I've had multiple occasions. I've done the things. I have no interest in doing that. I had 4 locations, satellite locations. So I had 5 locations total, whatever. It was too much. Did not enjoy it. I love my one. I have amazing staff. It works for me. And that's where I really work with other like chiropractors, physical therapy places, because if people ask me, I can say, no, you know what? I actually have a great other location. And I am huge on working together and working with people in your industry. And, so that's my biggest thing is like, there's no competition. There's only companionship or whatever you want to say.
What an amazing outlook that is. Like really, it's a very unique way of looking at things. And I'll give you just a quick recap of mine. Like I had a brokerage in Toronto, real estate brokerage, and a successful real estate team that's still going. And agents that started out, one of the first lessons I would tell them is that other realtors are your allies, and you'll do way more deals by becoming friends with them, as opposed to in the first couple of years where you want to beat your chest and pound the table and think like, no, create relationships. It's so much easier to get those deals done. And then the business just flows organically, because if you can't close a deal with 2 people that need to contractually obligate voluntarily, you can never close a deal.
Totally.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Like your outlook is really unique, especially you've scaled and then gone back and said, no, this isn't for me. I tried it. Is it because of a work-life balance that you're also trying to attain?
Yeah, it was crazy. And it's also, I'm not a therapist or a doctor, so I rely on a lot of other people to do the services for me. And if somebody calls out or whatever, then I have to cancel a day. And I have to, it's a lot of pieces to juggle. And that's not also my favorite area of business.
What's your favorite area of business?
Connection and business relationships.
And that's business what you want to grow?
I love business development. That's my thing. And so now my second business baby, it's called The Boardroom, and it's for women business owners.
Exclusively.
I mean,
No, that's fine. But what's the criteria that they need to meet in order to be part of the boardroom?
You have to be a business owner, and you have to be at a certain, you can't just be like, I have an idea and this is what I'm going to be starting to do. You have to be like in action as a women business owner. Or you can, so you have to be able to, there's a certain relatability that happens at that level.
If people are looking to transition to South Florida, I can tell you that they have certain things in mind that are constantly like nagging on them that they're somewhat fearful of. Mm-hmm. One being, can I make it here? I don't know the market. I don't know the people. The other one is taxes. The other one is how am I going to raise children plus run a business? And then there's like medical and guns and all these other things that we could talk about. But if they wanted to connect with you and they didn't start a business here yet, would you be open to talking to them?
Oh, totally.
Really?
Let's get you connected to the people or figure out how you need to get this done and get going with it.
Right. So you don't have to already be like super active. If you're like going to be doing things, then you can still join the network.
Exactly. As long as you're serious about doing something and taking action, great, join. Because it's not great if you're just like, I just don't do much during my day. I might go here. I might go to Target. I might go, work on my business at like 3:00. And then if I want to work on it again this week, maybe I will. No. We want action takers. That's all. That's what I'm just looking for. That the spirit of entrepreneurship.
The coolest part about transplant that I can tell you that it's like an overwhelming, like personality trait that they bring to the table when they come over the border, especially the Canadians that I know. I'm not sure, although I'm quite confident it's still applicable to Americans. They didn't cross a border, but they did cross state lines, is that they are hungry and they are driven and they want to prove everybody around them that they were right for making this massive transition and massive move. Mm-hmm. And going back to the word of the network, it has been our biggest crutch just by the people that we've met. And they have been so supportive. And what you also learn is when you're vulnerable and moving over and a little bit scared and coming to a brand new environment, the biggest thing that you're really afraid of is that rejection. But it is so overwhelming how much people actually want to help and how supportive people really are, especially if they're entrepreneurs, because they get it. So having an organization like yours that people can turn to can right away give people a little bit of peace of mind. It's like, okay, so I can start somewhere. I'm not starting in like blank and trying to figure it out on my own, because you learn from other people's mistakes. That's really incredible that you put this together, especially for women, because women are now, a massive part of the workforce, if not the overwhelming. I think they're in the majority, actually. They're definitely in schools. It's like that.
Yeah, we're definitely getting more up there. And I also feel like women love, think about like girls' trips. Like women love doing things together. We love that type of thing.
Is it because they're trying to get away from the guys?
We need to talk about them. So we need to go to girls' trip. But we look at each other for that support. And so I love getting, other women that, especially that are anybody who moves here. It's like my favorite thing also is just like, let's get you into the community. Let's work, welcome you. Let's make you feel warm and welcome. That's what I'm trying to say, into the community and get you in because, and let's see how we can help you and get you flourishing and see what you're,
On your podcast, I've seen a wide array of people.
Yeah.
Is there a strategy to who you're trying to meet, or are you just open to meet everybody?
So a lot of people would be like, when you network, you're like, I only want to meet these people.
Right.
I only want to meet this person. I'm open to meeting anybody because you never know who they know. And some of the biggest surprises that I've ever come across, even just recently, I met somebody who does business development and not business. They do a mastermind for business owners and stuff like that. And maybe not totally in the healthcare field or whatever it may be. Yes, maybe more for my boardroom or something of that sense. But so I was like, okay, maybe it wouldn't be the most ideal connection for me. But I was like, let me have a conversation. So I ended up having the conversation with that person. And then they were like, oh yeah, my sister's a PA at a practice right next to your office. I'd love to get you guys connected.
Funny how that works.
They do shoulder surgeries. They do. And I'm like, of course they do, right? Because the universe always is there to help you. You just have to be listening.
I love your language, not because I get it, is because this is how my wife talks. And I'm way too cynical maybe to accept that stuff, but I'm much more open to it than I've ever been.
Yeah. It's amazing. Once you kind of just step back and just feel into things. And the more I've done it, I really started doing this more in 2020. In the past 3 years now, I've really leaned into this even more. And I'm like, why did I not do this? Why was I not fully aware of myself doing this before? I mean, I did it clearly, but I didn't notice I was even doing it. And now more aware of it. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool to see that, come back to me or that. When you just lean into things and feel is this going to really feel good for me to go to this event tonight? Is this really going to feel good? And if it feels like a yes, go, because you'll probably have some really cool connection or something that comes out of it.
Most of the time when I don't want to go to an event, although I'm very much an extrovert, I feel like when it comes to socializing, I become a little bit of an introvert because of energy. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it makes sense to me.
100%.
And sometimes you have to give so much of yourself if you're not in an environment that's totally comfortable that you feel depleted by the time you get home. So,
because you're an extrovert. So my friend said this brilliant the other day. She said, because I said to her, I was like, I think I might be an introvert thinking I was an extrovert. And she's like, no, you're an extrovert. Because now since I've been spending more time in my house a little bit and just being more selective of the events that I go to and all these other things. And she goes, no, because extroverts get energized by people, right? So when we're out, we get energized. So if we're talking to somebody whose their energy is just not vibing with us, of course we're going to feel depleted and exhausted by the end of it because they're not helping us get our energy back.
And you're filling that void.
Yeah, it's not good. And then introverts can talk to anybody and we'll go out and talk to everybody, do what they need to do. But then they're like, great, I expended all my energy and now I need to go home and rejuvenate. And yeah, so when we go into events, we're like, as long as we hook up with people that okay, maybe I shouldn't use that word.
I do tell.
But as long as we like connect with people that have the, like-minded energy or fiery energy or whatever you want to call it, right? Then we're like, I feel so charged, right? Think about all the people that you've ever had conversations with that have that fiery energy and you feel so charged by it.
Amazing. A lot more now than ever before. And I realized how complacent I was when I moved down. In Canada, I was, pretty the same old, and things were chugging away. And it was, I built that life for myself, and that's what I thought I needed. It made me hugely inefficient. It also made me very, very comfortable. And comfort is a very dangerous zone to be, especially this young. And I'm not, a spring chicken, but I'm also not an old man. And I have a young family. When I came here, it stripped away so many of the layers that I never thought I needed to strip. My ego, it stripped away a lot of my authenticity, where I thought that I had to have this certain persona when I walked into the room that projected confidence and success and all this stuff. And that's so relative. Mm-hmm. Now that I'm here basically saying I'm restarting, I'm open to meeting people, I'm eager to build something that I never built before, it has been the most rejuvenating, scary, authentic, pure version of myself that I have not seen since I was probably a little kid. I don't even remember that version of myself. And I'm very, very aware not to try to lose that version of myself that is now, because it's very easy to fall back in old routines and habits where you're sheltering yourself. My wife has always been that way. She's always been open and hopeful and open-minded a lot more than I ever have. And I envy her in some ways. And then I justify by saying, no, I need to be the way I need to be because I need to counterbalance her approach. And it's absolute bullshit. It's just me protecting myself and
your ego. It's your ego, right? Your ego protects you.
When you shed that ego, the world is open.
Yeah, it's totally available for you. And we forget how to play. And once we get back into like remembering, like because as kids, we play. That's all we know how to do. There's no fear. There's no nothing. Remember, you'll climb up a tree. You'll go anywhere as a kid, right? Like because you're fearless and you're just like, this is exciting. This is fun, whatever it is. And as we get older, we're like, oh, wait, I could fall. I could do this. I could happen, because then we get this ego that like starts protecting us. And that's what it's there for. It's just there to protect us. And it will come up with any excuse or anything to like make us not do something or want to do something or be the way we should be, or we think we should be, right?
As you become, a boss, mm-hmm. do you find that you're still as open as you were the day you started your business?
I'm more open.
That's incredible. How do you do that?
More open. Though.
How do you maintain that version of yourself?
I just love to see what happens. I'm like, this will be interesting to see what happens. And I let go. I was holding on to, especially in the beginning, of like this perfect vision or what I wanted or what I thought I wanted. And as I've let go, and the more I let go, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was possible. But of course it is, because the universe knows better than I do. I don't, and it just delivers. And I'm like, that's so cool. I could be doing that. Like last year, I got to be an MC a couple times for different people. And
how did that come about? How did they find you?
I know them from connecting, from working, from doing different things. And I never would have thought like that was even something I ever even wanted to do. But I was like, I kind of think I would like to MC. And I just kind of threw that out there in the universe. And I was like, that'd be kind of fun. Like, what would that feel like? And then I get asked. And they're like, hey, you want to be an MC? We actually need one. And I'm like, yeah, sign me up. But I like let go of like what it would be or who I would be an MC for. Because I was like, I'm not going to put a label on it. If I put myself in a little box, I will be in that box. And why would I ever want to? I can only dream up so much. There's so much more that like is available that I just need to be open to.
That's just incredible. Like I hear that, and I hear it all the time. For a person like me who's very linear in my thinking and very analytical, when you say stuff like that, I'm like, you're full of shit. And I have to fight that demon in my head because I know that you're actually the one correct and I'm the one who's full of shit.
It takes a lot to say that.
And the only reason I figured that out is because when I came down here, and I'm a nobody to nobody except for my home team. And I have to prove it all to my family again, that I can provide for them, that I can be that shield from them. Like, I like taking my role as a man in my house. I'm very, I don't call it traditional, but I'm way more open and hopeful now than I've ever had before, because I have no other choice. I have to rely on that. And you talking about and verbalizing, it's so like, colorful and bubbly and sincere. And this is what happened. And this was the outcome. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm living my life that way. And I can't like hang my head on it, but I know it works. Yeah. I never thought I'd have a podcast. I never thought it would grow to what it is today. I never thought I'd have an audience that gave a shit about what I'm saying. I would have never thought that I'd sit across from you. And I came in here with like, beginning of this podcast was like, I was really down and this like heavy energy, and you just totally take that off. Right. I can see how your demeanor can intimidate guys on a date. And all I keep thinking about in my head is that I know the perfect guy for you.
Oh,
yeah, I do know the perfect guy.
Can we talk about this?
We can absolutely talk about this. He's actually not in the United States, but, and I hope he doesn't kill me for talking about this, I'm not going to drop his name. He's got an approach to life that is very comparable to yours. He's a doctor. He's a psychologist. And I have to preface, he's actually mine. Oh. He's been somebody I've been seeing for 5+ years. And I would attribute, outside of my wife, my financial success and my other successes in my life to him, because like I have the numbers to qualify success, ever since I've been seeing him. But he has been around for me as like, an executive coach, as many, many different facets. But he's a guy who supports specifically the music industry and the most like famous people on this planet. He supports them. I don't know them by name. He would obviously never disclose that. The only reason I know that is because articles I've read that he's written and stuff like that. I'm listening to you talking, and I'm trying to create a podcast that's a resource to people, and all I'm thinking is that I want to make a shit up. Like, I'm like, holy shit, I know the dude for her. I want to be at that head table at the wedding one day saying, fuck, there's the podcast. I said this. I called this. Here's the reel from it. Please, everybody, this is me. This is my night, not theirs.
You can give the toast. I'm all for it.
I'm going to MC it, by the way.
Good.
I'm putting that out there.
What other dreams would you like to have?
I would like to MC that wedding.
Okay.
He is like probably one of the best humans that I know.
Yeah.
As a human. I don't talk about attraction and stuff like that. That's for you to decide. But he is a super cool dude. You're a super cool person. I try to always talk to gratitude, because it's something that I'm now vocal about, versus before I thought that it's not cool. Like the fact that I'm sitting in front of you, I'm learning more from you than I would, in any other conversation.
Thank you for saying that. And I always say you have to have it in you to see it in others. So whatever the compliment you just gave me is really also like right back at you, because like you have to be able to, have it in you to see it in others. The podcast has morphed. It's turned into things that I never even anticipated. That's right. What podcasting is. Yeah. And you told me that actually in a conversation that we had before. And again, I'm very rigid. I know my methods. So you're open to it. I am open to it. I'm more open to it now. And that's what I think that people need to realize when they move. They will encounter and learn a version of themselves that they've never seen before. The people that are around them that are trying to better their lives, you're trying to better your lives by creating the boardroom, by the podcast, by your business, by going out there and dating. You're trying to improve that version of your life. When you surround yourself by people that are thinking the same things, the world is your oyster. And this is a short ride. And then the older you get, you realize how finite that time really is. So you know what? If you don't do the things that you wanted to try, you live with that regret. And I'm sure we all will have some regrets. I don't have any for moving down here. Good. It's hard. It's so hard. And I always want the listeners to understand that it is absolutely hard. I do not want to paint this with rose-colored glasses. But the experience that you get, the people that you get to meet, the stuff you get to do is fucking awesome. It is. How can people get a hold of you, find you, connect with you, get to know you? Okay. I love getting connected with people on Instagram. I feel like it's a very easy way. I try to post on my stories, just like kind of what my everyday life is a little bit, or just some fun things or things that are in my head. So I am at Arielle, Arielle.Leavitt, Leavitt on Instagram, or you can email me at arielletheconnector@gmail.com, or my website, which needs to be updated. We'll just kind of ignore that right now because it's like something I'm not working on at the moment. I need to be working on it, but it's arielleleavitt.com. Arielle Leavitt. It's very easy.
And the Tinder profile handle?
None. I don't have one, right? Like I was on the apps and then I took myself off because I want to meet people like just like how you said that. I'm like, yeah, I'm here for it. Like, let's do it. I love being set up. It's my favorite thing.
Tonight, I'm going to call him.
Okay.
And I'm be like, dude, just take a risk on this.
Okay.
And I hope to God that, like, a year from now, we're sitting around, I'll have him sitting in the other chair, like, told you.
A little podcasting. But,
right.
Yeah. And I always have to do a plug-in for you because everybody needs to rate and subscribe and give a 5-star review to your podcast because you did a phenomenal job. Thank you so much.
You're the
for
best.
having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You didn't finish your wine.
Don't tell everybody.